Hello people, welcome to IWPC 316 here on YouTube, and I'm back with our TNA correspondent Roy to look back at last night's TNA Impact and also to look ahead to Sunday's Knockdown. But Roy, just before we move on to TNA, I just got one very quick thing to ask you about the passing of Wonder Mooney. Apparently funeral's actually taking place today. It was a very sad loss in professional wrestling.
Yeah, it was. Like, I remember one of my first memories, like, I have of wrestling, one of the things that really stood out to me, I remember WrestleMania 20. Like, Bearer's appearance alone made up for, like, how bad that match was, because, like, I didn't like Biker Taker. I was happy to get the dead man back.
Same as a lot of people, like, but I think one of the most iconic things you just said there is when he first came out, because we all knew Taker was coming back, but nobody knew Paul Bearer was coming back.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't have, like, that access to dirt sheets or anything.
No, but as I said, nobody knew Paul Bearer was coming back.
No.
Everyone knew Undertaker was coming back, but no one knew Paul Bearer was going to come back with him. Now, the reason I really bring that up is that we're here to talk about TNA, and I have to give Total Nonstop Action fierce credit. I know I did the Paul Bearer tribute show, but the amount of respect they showed for a performer that wasn't really with their company that long and didn't make a big impact really showed a lot of respect in this company.
Well, like, most of the people in charge of TNA have a huge respect for Paul Bearer. Richard, he was Brother Love. Everything Al Snow, Taz, D'Lo, all of them have respect for Paul.
I just had to say it was a very nice touch. Now let's get into last night's TNA Impact. It was the go-home show, and Roy, was it a good go-home show? Because one of the biggest differences between WWE and TNA in the last couple of months is that TNA have been doing good go-home shows, which has resulted in a lot of their points going up, but WWE have been doing bad go-home shows, and the points are going down.
Yeah. Well, see, I really liked the go-home show this week. I really did. Well, see, it opened up. Well, see, like, the thing that I saw that TNA's actually doing, they're really trying to legitimize the aces and eights. Like, even though they've done a poor job, they really try to cram that in. That these people are gonna be victorious against Team TNA. Okay, well, it started off where, like, you had Austin Aries came out. He was talking about the triple tag match between him and Bobby Roode against the Mexicans and Bad Influence. And then all of a sudden, he calls out Jeff Hardy for a match. And the commentators, they were making a really big deal out of it. Because this was like they were trying to say it's a main event for a pay-per-view, like opening the show, how TNA really cares about their fans. They were really trying to hype this match up. It was a good match. And it ended with Matt Morgan, out of all people, coming out and giving the carbon footprint to Jeff Hardy. And then he tries to do it again, and Bully Ray comes out and makes the save.
I still can't, I know I haven't watched as much Impact as anybody else, but I have to say, I still can't buy Bully Ray as a face. I really hope they turn him soon.
Most people think he's going to turn.
And that's the danger with TNA. TNA love to swerve the fans. I would not be surprised that if they don't turn him heel. I really wouldn't. But I think they have to. I think they have to turn Bully Ray heel.
It depends. It depends who they have for him after. Like, if he's just going to go up against Morgan, he has to stay as a face. Because Morgan is not going to work as a babyface. If they're going to drag out the feud with Hardy, he has to turn heel. But like I said before, I don't see how San Antonio is a fitting place for Bully Ray to finally win the World Heavyweight Championship. It should have been done in New York or in Philly. Especially if you think about it this. New York, you could have actually gotten more people to show up due to the amount of people showing up for WrestleMania, and they're going to just stick around after. That's why most promotions, like ROH, they're doing a show in New York. Like, I think 3 days before WrestleMania.
And so is American Dragon. Most of them do that. Most TNA, like, that's one of the biggest problems I always have with things like TNA and even FCW, which is run by WWE. They think they're too big to perform on WrestleMania weekend. You're not.
It's not, because WrestleMania is the biggest event in professional wrestling. Whether you like WWE or not, you have to admit it. That's where most of the people are going to show up.
Like, most people will hear about TNA, especially the casual fans who just go to WrestleMania. If they hear that TNA were Buddy Ray, Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle were doing a show the Saturday before WrestleMania, and no, you don't have to clash with the Hall of Fame, you can make it a 2 o'clock show, people will go to that fucking thing.
Especially if it's like based around cage matches, like event like Lockdown is. Because you can't do an event like Slammiversary right there near Lockdown, because people are just going to say, oh, it's a WrestleMania ripoff.
Yeah. There's plenty of halls and arenas in America. You could have booked Lockdown to go on the Saturday before WrestleMania.
Yep, because if I think it's correct, ROH Supercard, I think they're going to use the Hammerstein Ballroom, but that's 3 days before. That's April 6th.
You look at it, UFC does it for the Super Bowl. They always hold pay-per-views the Saturday before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, because besides, they could piggyback off a lot of WWE, TNA could. Because as much as these people like claim they love the Attitude Era, they're actually going to see the Attitude Era stars wrestle, like Kurt Angle, who was a huge part. You're going to see Devon and Bully, Jeff Hardy. All of these people had a lot to do with the Attitude Era.
And you have a lot of WCW stars as well from the past.
Sting, Hogan's not going to wrestle, but he's still going to show up there. And then you have the ROH people who could go and see, they could see AJ again, they could see Austin Aries, they could see Samoa Joe.
They could boot
and Kenny King.
That's really what they should be doing. They should be doing something like that. But they just think that they're above that. I'm sorry, I got news for TNA Dixie Carter. You're not.
Yeah. Like, I understood last year they lucked out because even though Lockdown was in Nashville, TNA was right there in Impact Zone in Orlando, and WrestleMania was in Miami. They had no choice.
Yeah. See, look at that. I remember when I went to TNA, when I went to the Impact Zone, I went on WrestleMania 24 back in 2008. I actually went to the Impact Zone. It was when they did their live one. And the place was just so many people. And I was just thinking at the back of my head, why didn't they move this to a different arena?
Yeah. I think it's because they had with Universal back then.
Yeah, but like they could have turned around to Universal and said, listen, we know we're going to get up to 1,000 people. But you know what? There was close to 2,000 people queuing up when I went to the live Impact. They could have turned around and said, we're going to go to an arena, we're going to make some money off of this, and we're going to get some exposure off this. But no, they're stuck in the Impact Zone. 50% of the people didn't get in, which pissed off people that were loyal to TNA, because people that were loyal and went every week, they couldn't get in because of the WrestleMania crowd. People that wanted to try TNA for the first time were pissed off because they weren't left in, even though they were queuing up in the heat for nearly an hour or two. So like they should have just went away, got an arena, charged a couple of things, and then they would have taped a few impacts inside a big arena that was packed.
Yeah. And besides, if I remember this correctly, people were telling me before what TNA used to do in the Impact Zone. They would let actually the tourists in first instead of the actual people who were there.
Yeah, what it is that there's a side entrance into it, which you can walk around the Harry Potter world that's there now, and there you queue up, so you don't actually have to pay to get into the park. It's a long walk around. But then if you come in through the park, you just walk straight up to the main door. And what they did that day was they let people in through the main door first. And then the people in the side were just told, listen, fuck off. And apparently they do that a lot. The only thing they don't really do that is pay-per-views, apparently. Because, they want the atmosphere for the pay-per-views, right?
Yeah.
So what happened after our opening segment on Impact last night?
Okay, after the Austin Aries match, there was a promo for Gut Check to be later on in the night. They try to hype that up. Excuse me for a minute. I have to actually find. My memory's a little hazy right now. Should have done this ahead of time. Oh yeah, then they had a match building up to decide who was gonna get the man advantage at Lockdown, the Lethal Lockdown match between TNA and Aces and 8. Sting said he was gonna actually lead off the the matches. He was actually going to actual wrestle for once.
Wait, hold on a second. Sting is going to be a front runner?
No, Sting was actually, he said he was going to be to lead off the matches, the series of matches TNA and Aces and Eights had.
Alright, no, I thought what you meant there was that Sting was going to be the first member of Team TNA to come out of the lockdown, and I'm like, that makes no sense. That guy cannot go for half an hour anymore.
I think they're actually going to put Magnus first. It'll be a good spot for him.
Well, like, this was the match last year that got Garett Bischoff a lot of respect, if I remember right.
Yeah, and this actually was the catalyst of Austin Aries' face turn.
Need the Lockdown is a big... Like, there's been a lot of make moments in TNA history that need the Lockdown.
Like, people still talk about Elix Skipper and what he did. Giving a Hurricanrana, like, almost, I think, 25 feet in the air.
I'm really one of the first matches that I can remember watching in TNA was the Elite Lockdown, when it was the TNA Originals against the TNA New Blood. When
So the first match was actually Sting versus Devon. And it was actually a pretty decent match. It ended with Sting and Devon on the outside, and then I think a plant fan that TNA had, you could tell it was a plant because he was actually wearing Aces and Eights gear. He threw either it was beer or water in Sting's face, and then Devon got the pin off of him. So Aces and Eights took the lead 1-0 over Team TNA. See who had the man advantage. Kind of like with WCW. You know how they had the coin flip to see who would have the man advantage at the War Games?
Yeah.
They were basically doing this to decide that instead of a coin flip.
Yeah, I actually seen a few of these before. I just never got it that Elite Lockdown where one member of one team comes out while another member of another team can't come out.
I think they should be like around the cage, just to save trouble.
Yeah, something like that. It just always bugged me, like, boy, there always has to be a man advantage. I think it takes away from the match.
Yeah. And then you had a promo between... Wes Brisco came out and he cut a promo on Kurt Angle. He tried to shoot either a work shoot or something, saying that he was actually going to be better than Kurt Angle. I wanted him to reference the time that Kurt Angle no-showed the NWA Hall of Fame ceremony. So then Kurt Angle came out and he's going to reveal who the VP was, because last week it ended with Angle actually following Aces and Eights to the clubhouse and fighting the VP and unmasking him. So Angle and Briscoe start to brawl. Al Snow, Pritchard, and D'Lo Brown come out to like separate them, and Angle telling people that, oh, it's D'Lo Brown, he's the VP. And then D'Lo attacked...
Hold on, you cannot gloss over that. D'Lo Brown, who was a mid-carder at best in World Wrestling Federation at the time, is going to be one of the top men in Aces and Eights.
Actually, no, he's just... It's like this. Devon, he does most of the like grunt work and actually working. And like the leaders who are supposedly either... The leader who's actually either going to be Bischoff or Jarrett is going to be the president. And D'Lo Brown's the VP. They're going to use him like he's the reason why Wes Briscoe got into a company. Because if you remember correctly, D'Lo Brown was actually just a last-minute judge for gut check for the Briscoe-Garett match. So it's just like, remember like during the beginnings they were wondering, oh, who's letting Aces and Eights in?
Yes.
Apparently it was D'Lo all along.
So here's a question I got to ask you. When do you think the president or the top or the leader, whatever you want to put it, leader of Aces and Eights will be revealed? Do you think it will be released at Slammiversary, or do you think they might act off until Bound for Glory yet again?
No, I don't think the storyline's going to last up to Bound for Glory, because if you do that, the Bound for Glory series is going to completely overshadow the Aces and Eights. Because remember last year, like the Bound for Glory series took Sting off TV, took the X Division title off TV, and took the television title off TV, because they needed to build that up.
So you think Slammiversary would even happen this Sunday night? Can you see it this Sunday night? Especially when we're going into our first live Impact outside the Impact Zone next week. Can you see the top field this week?
No, this week, like we discussed before the show, I see Aces and Eights winning the Lethal Lockdown match. I see Eric Young actually turning heel on them. But I think like the actual president, he'll come out during the Chicago show though. I can see that happening. Cause we've only seen him once, and that was when they had Hogan and Sting in the clubhouse, and they were trying to get Joseph Park back.
It is good. Like, I will be honest with you. As long as they're dragging this Aces and Eights thing out, if they can make the leader a big shock, it might be worth it.
Like, I remember I was joking with Goins that the leader was going to be Ryan Hurst from Sons of Anarchy. I would still love to see that.
I know, like, you brought up the Sons of Anarchy character there, but honestly, if you were booking TNA at this moment, who would you make the leader of Aces and Eights?
At this point, Jarrett and Bischoff, Jeff Jarrett and Eric Bischoff are the only ones who make sense at this point. Either that or just make it Matt Morgan.
That's the way I see him going. I really see him going with Matt Morgan. I personally, if I was booking, I'd make it Joe. Because Samoa Joe's been held down by TNA for the last year and a half, you could argue. He hasn't really been these high-profile matches anymore. It would make a lot of sense if Joe came out and just said he was pissed at his position in the company.
Yeah.
Like how...
I would say Joe, but like when you actually saw, when they revealed the back of the VP and everything, the actual president, him and Joe's body type are completely different.
Yeah, but that was just probably a stagehand as the leader.
You can say that too. I haven't really thought about Joe before.
Like, I'll be honest with you, Christopher Daniels, I can see why he never jumped to WWE. AJ Styles, ditto. I can see why he never jumped. I never understood why Joe didn't jump. Because Joe is so underappreciated in tone non-stop action, it's not even funny. He is really underappreciated.
They keep trying. It's like creative has nothing for him. They keep just throwing him into any like storyline they feel like.
But that's what's killing him. Joe.
It is, because how many times can we see him and Kurt Angle feud?
Well, him and Sting never had a big time feud. I know they had 1 or 2 matches, but they never had that kind of big feud. And I think Sting and Joe could pull it off. Why doesn't him and James Storm have a big feud, or him and Bobby Roode?
One thing I really want to see Joe, like, you could put him back in the X Division. X Division really needs it, and Joe could use the TV time and actually legitimize it. And then a feud between him and Kenny King would elevate the both of them.
Something like that. It just always poked me that Samoa Joe was never made the top guy in TNA. Because honestly, if I had to sit down and write the top 10 guys I seen in TNA, Joe would be top 3. He was that good. He still is. It's just that he's not used to his potential. If you're giving shit, it's very hard to make a diamond out of it.
Yeah. But the thing is, if they're actually going to prepare Joe for that, he has to lose some weight. Like, that's always been part of him and everything, but at least now he should get in better shape than he is.
Do you think that's what held him back? Do you think that if he was fit able and all that stuff, that he would have been the face of TNA?
He probably could have been.
It's sad
Joe
to see.
was over to the point that they couldn't use him as a heel anymore.
Yeah, he's just suspected so much. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Mm-hmm.
So they tried to do what AJ Styles did last year. They tried to turn Styles heel, and the fans were just like, no, we're not fucking buying this.
No, they won't. AJ, unlike the thing with like John Cena might be the face of WWE, but the fans want him to turn heel. The fans don't want AJ to turn heel. Even if he was heel, that every fan would cheer AJ when he comes out.
Yeah. They have so much respect. But see, this is what's so good about taking it out of the Impact Zone, is you're not going to have the same people every week. You're going to have different crowds and different atmospheres.
Yeah, it's going to open up more possibilities. Like,
yeah, so maybe now you have a situation where AJ Styles or Samoa Joe can go heel, because it's not going to be the same crowds every week. It's not going to be a TNA smart crowd every week.
And maybe then, like, you would actually see RVD putting more people over than he does, because he just shows up, doesn't really have major feuds. He just shows up for matches. Like, remember how much over he put Gunner? Right after winning the World Championship?
Yeah. It fascinates me with RVD because, like, he has the potential to really make stars. But as you said, he just shows up, wrestles, and then just goes away. Like, I'm shocked when people bring up, oh, RVD wrestled last time. Like, he's back? What's he doing? Oh, he's gone away again. I'm like, what the fuck?
And, like, people give Cena a lot of crap for not putting people over. RVD seems to just get a free pass on it.
Man, it's the way with the internet lately. Like, I'm not a TNA hater. I said to you off the air, I want to get back into TNA, and I will get back into it this Sunday at lockdown. But wrestling fans seem to give TNA a pass on a lot of stuff they don't give WWE.
Yeah, it's like there's two spectrum of internet fans when it comes to TNA. They either hate it or they'll just blindly love it.
Yeah. Because it's not WWE, and that's the big thing. It's not WWE, and that's why people just love it so much. It's like, oh, we're anti-establishment. And then
yeah, it's like a middle ground between, like, ROH and WWE. It's like not really that. It's too big to be an indie fan, but it still has the charm of, like, a small venue.
Yeah, I would actually say, though, the worst fans around are Ring of Honor fans.
Yeah, they were like...
Oh, they're ridiculous.
Like, these people... Like, I could never understand why Roderick Strong was a world champion. He was somebody I could never see as a main eventer.
I can't understand why they're not pushing Shelton Benjamin to the moon. They had this fantastic talent.
Who had a huge following, too.
Yeah, and they just don't use him. But what I'm saying about Ring of Honor fans is, like, if you say one bad thing about Ring of Honor, or you don't know about wrestling, you're WWE sheep, oh, Ring of Honor is the only pure wrestling. I'm sorry. What about Triple H? What about fucking New Japan Pro Wrestling? That is some of the greatest wrestling matches you ever see in your life. Ring of
Honor.
Honor.
And what do you forget about Ring of Honor fans? Some Ring of Honor fans will bash PWG, even though a lot of Ring of Honor fans, a lot of Ring of Honor performers actually work for PWG. They'll perform over there.
Oh, but the best one has to be the old argument. Fuck WWE, they just destroy careers. Look at CM Punk. Look at Daniel Bryan. Look at Antonio Cesaro. Look what they're going to do with Dean Ambrose. He's part of one of the hottest groups they have. Look at the
Dean Ambrose isn't really considered. Dean Ambrose, as much as Ring of Honor fans don't want to believe it, he was never a part of Ring of Honor.
I thought he wrestled a few matches there.
Huh. But
he came from Combat.
Like, Biss wrestled a few matches there, but people won't ever associate him with Ring of Honor.
Yeah. But that's it. Like, you look at it. Look at the other side. Look at how well Austin Aries did in TNA. It's like these guys are criticized by Ring of Honor fans for leaving. Well, all they're trying to do is make a better life for themselves. Like, how can you blame someone for CM?
Exactly. Like, you can only wrestle in high schools for so long before you have to. Like, yeah. I'm pretty sure if ROH was where TNA is now, and granted, one thing I want to say to ROH fans, TNA and ROH started around the same time. ROH is older than TNA. Yet, look at where TNA is at, and look at where ROH is at.
Big difference, though. TNA had the money behind them, and they had the Jarrett name. That was big in Tennessee.
The thing is, with TNA, they knew how to get TV deals. Look how long it took ROH to get a deal with HDNet, and then that fell apart, and now they have a deal with Sinclair, which is just, they went from the opportunity to probably having a national show on TV, now they're just syndicated.
I agree 100% with you. Like, I'm not sitting here and saying Ring of Honor is the worst thing ever. Ring of Honor is a good company, and
it's not. But the thing is, Ring of Honor is not something you would see on TV. Ring of Honor is a promotion you have to see live.
Yeah, the production factor.
You're gonna see a 20-minute match full of just spots. That's gonna draw a lot of casual fans away. Is that ROH has like no type of ring psychology to it.
It did. That's the thing, like, it did. There was a time, ROH fans, there was a time that it was probably the best wrestling company around. But then it lost its top stars. And except for taking the money they got off WWE and TNA, and let's not put a bonus about it, they got compensation for taking people like Punk and Bryan. They had to. If you take someone off a contract, you have to compensate the guy you're taking it off. Except for
exactly. It's not like in the old days where Vince could just take Hogan from the AWA and just pay Hogan not to show up. They actually get compensated now.
Except for taking that money, reinvesting it, bringing in production value, bringing in better lighting, better technology. What happened to that money? They signed no new guys. All they're doing is bringing guys up from the indie side. They're not even bringing people over from Japan. Like, look at... There was a time that Tensei was the most hotly contested property, and he kept saying he wants to come back to America. It took WWE 2 years to sign this guy. That meant 2 years he was on the market, and Ring of Honor didn't come next or near him. Now, I'm not saying Tensei would have blown Ring of Honor out of the water, but come on.
Tensei would have been considered a giant in Ring of Honor, too.
Yeah.
He would have had a lot of great dynamics with him. He would have instantly, as soon as he stepped through the curtain, instantly legitimized as a main eventer just due to his size.
But no, they rather stick with these guys in the independent circuits, that some fella comes up and tells the promoters, this guy is awesome. And you have Jim Cornette. I love Cornette to death. But Jim Cornette keeps fucking going on about how much WWE sucks and TNA sucks. I'm sorry, Jim, you work for Ring of Honor. Get the production right, get the television right, get some good scouts in.
And think about this, they could have invested it so people can actually see their pay-per-views and not actually just have their pay-per-views crash or have like 20-minute intermissions in pay-per-views. That's unacceptable in this day and age.
Like, most wrestling fans don't have... Like, I have a 32-inch television. I would not mind paying $10 if I could sit down and watch it on my television. But you can't. You can only stream it on your fucking computer.
Okay, can we get back to TNA? I think we ranted about ROH a little too much.
Yeah, and just to point out for the RFH Magnus probably writing a 300-word explanation about why both of us suck. I don't hate Ring of Honor. It just pains me that Ring of Honor back in 2004-05 was so great with so many stars. They sold them all, and except for taking them, what happened to that money? If you're such Ring of Honor fans, sit down and ask, what happened to that money?
And besides, they could have had an ECW, the type of deal ECW had with WWE, been a feeder school. Either that or with TNA, a working relationship would have worked out great between the two companies. They would have both been in a way better position than they are now.
Well, I don't blame for TNA because TNA sent a letter to all the performers saying that if they work for TNA, they can't perform for Ring of Honor.
I can see that.
That's actually why CM Punk and Christopher Daniels doesn't actually speak. TNA, when TNA got a small bit better, if you remember some of the early TNAs actually...
Yeah, I remember my first exposure to CM Punk was from TNA.
Yeah.
But now I remember hearing the story that both him and Teddy Hart would let go because they got into a fight and Sabu had to separate them.
Yeah, but the story is that when TNA got a small bit bigger and better, they sent a letter to all their talents saying, listen, you can't perform for ROH anymore. But that's the only problem I ever have with ROH. What happened to the money? They all like to say they're after the establishment and they fight the power and all that. Look at the top guys in ROH. Are you telling me they didn't do runners with money or put the money into their back pocket? These are the guys that are supposed to be fighting the system where they took money that they sold their biggest stars. Why they complained about and didn't put the money back in the company?
And one thing that really stands out to me when they try to say, oh, we're different from TNA and WWE, we don't need them. Right when Jay Lethal came back, as soon as he was let go from TNA and he returned to ROH, they gave him the ROH Television Championship. That's saying, oh, this guy who couldn't make it in TNA is better than most of our current people.
They do the same in TNA pretty much with WWE stars though, Roy, don't they?
Yeah.
You know?
And this is my opinion. If you're coming from another company, you should not immediately be put into a world title feud.
And for all the WWE marks that are probably standing there sniggering, thinking you're top of the walk, look what they did with Christian. Christian came back and won the ECW belt within 2 months. So,
look what Cesaro.
Yeah.
Cesaro came in, they gave him the US belt, which should have gone to Otunga. The story had it for Otunga to win it from Santino, and they just like kind of let that go.
And what are they doing there with Otunga? I know he was filming that movie, but surely that thing is fucking filmed.
I know, like I remember why he was yanked off TV originally for like the actual trial case with one of his family members being murdered.
That was his wife, wasn't it? His wife's mother or something.
Yeah, I can understand that, but keep the character alive.
Yeah, but don't forget he no-showed the pay-per-view over that trial. WWE are very spiteful that way.
Yeah, okay. So back to TNA. You had a match between Chavo Hernandez and Velvet Sky versus Bad Influence and Gail Kim. The match was okay.
Hold on. Point of order. Is Gail Kim heel?
Yeah.
Why?
Gail Kim is not gonna work as a face in TNA. Like, especially with Brooke and Velvet, they're much better faces than she is. She'll just be buried down the card.
Then just one other last question. Is she acting a snobby bitch?
Yeah.
That actually makes sense. If I was booking Gail Kim as a heel in TNA, I would have her someone that looks down on TNA.
Yeah, since she was in WWE.
Yeah. And she ranks herself as the best in the world. Like she's said that many a time that she's the best woman wrestler in the world. She has a bigger ego than fucking CM Punk.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I actually am. When I actually read interviews that she fucking gave, she has a bigger ego than Phil Brooks. I would stand over that.
Okay. Then, if I remember correctly, I think Gail's team won. Gail's team won that, and then it led into the actual gut check competition, which Danny Davis, the guy who's in charge of OVW, is actually now a judge replacing Taz. Because they said since Taz is part of Aces and Eights, they don't want him to be part of the gut check. It makes sense because if you're TNA, you don't want somebody associated with the invading faction in charge with your developmental process. So Danny Davis, and then they give Lady Tapa, she gets the opportunity to do the gut check judging instinct. And she's actually the niece of the Barbarian. Another contestant was Ivelisse Velez, who was a tough enough contestant, and she was working FCW shows alongside Paige. They were tag team. And then it ended up that Lady Tapa actually got a TNA developmental contract. One thing I want to say is that they actually have to start making gut check mean anything. Like, the actual participants have to show up on TV. Because if not, they're just going to be wasted. Like, I can understand that York and Joey Ryan are the only ones who have shown up on TV, but where's Alex Silva? How long has it been since, like, he actually got a contract? And we still haven't seen him on TV? Sam Shaw, Taylor Hendricks?
But do they get these with TNA or do they get developmental deals?
No, it's like on the actual TNA website, they're listed as Impact. They're listed as members of the Impact Wrestling roster.
Well, I never got the gut check. Like we all know wrestling's not really scripted. So what actually happens? Do they go out and book a match? And like if I have a match with you, Roy, and one of us is about to get a TNA contract, why would I make you look good, or why would you make me look good?
I don't know, but originally they were doing it was an independent wrestler. They say it's actually real. The contestants, they said the gut check is actually legit. Ryan has said it. Even the people who haven't, like Evan Markopoulos and Chris Louis, they've said it's actually been legit. Nobody has come out yet and said that, oh, the gut check is just an entire work.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I actually think it is legit, but what I'm saying is that if me and you are wrestling, why would one of us make each other look good when only one of us can get a contract?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, but what I've been seeing, both of the contestants are actually making each other look good. Like, I remember over a month ago, before the match between Bradley and Cage, that was a good match. Both of each other were working the crowd great.
Maybe it's a case that you're told that's part of it. Maybe trying to make your opponent look good, but yet again, then I'm just gonna fucking send you like I just don't get it. I don't know how you can do something like this.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think is like WWE fucking tough enough. The winner's already picked, and I'm sorry, Andy was fucking picked from the get go. You're telling me Austin picked fucking Andy?
Yeah, and besides, Andy already had a contract with FCW beforehand. He was wrestling under a different name.
Yeah. Oh, fucking the best thing that ever happened to Tough Enough in WWE's mind is that Matt got fucking injured.
Mm.
We never heard from... Like, there's another fella. Why the fuck is Ring of Honor or TNA not going after him? He proved in TNA... Matt.
No, I don't know.
The guy from...
Luke was a guy who was considered to be ring ready and everything. TNA or Ring of Honor should have gone after him. Molded him because the internet was behind him.
And Austin, like one of probably the biggest wrestlers of all time, was actually approving of him. Here's a guy that has a stamp of approval by Trish Stratus, one of the best divas of all time.
And Austin, one of the most known figures in wrestling, probably behind Hogan.
And Bill DeMont, one of the toughest guys to ever please in professional wrestling. And nobody went after him?
I don't get that. Either they heard something horrible about his attitude or just WWE's been telling people to go away from them.
I never did, because he was blowing everyone away in them trials, like. Nobody was coming next or near him.
He was one of the few of them who didn't seem just completely awkward in the ring.
Yeah. And even the man that you don't fucking like, even John Morrison was the guy who was fucking agile. This has come from John Morrison, one of the most agile guys I've ever seen in the ring. He was getting, everyone was stamping the boxes, and then he got injured, fair enough, and I kept saying, well, he's going to get on the main event, did he? And then that bitch gets it with fucking Brodus Clay. Seriously?
Yeah, and besides, he made it to the final too. And besides, that doesn't mean he's not going to be anything, because if people remember correctly, Miz was actually the runner-up in Tough Enough. He lost to Daniel Pruder.
Oh, God.
I had to bring that up.
Quick question, because I didn't have the internet around that time, and I never went to research it. What actually happened with him? I remember he won it. He
won the Judgment Day match, and then he was at the Royal Rumble, and then I just never heard from him again.
Yeah, he went away for around 3 weeks after he won it. And then he came back and showed up.
He was in the Royal Rumble only to get eliminated by Hardcore Holly.
And he wasn't even in the match that long, was he?
No, he was number 4. He was number 3. He was number 3.
Remember, he came out with them big
Guerrero started it off.
Yeah, he came out with them big... It was fucking... And then he's actually tearing up the... He actually got on the microphone, didn't he?
I don't remember. I haven't watched the event in a long time.
Oh, God. Pure Daniel. No, but I just never ever got it with Matt. I never did.
Okay, so again, Lady Tapa, the niece of the Barbarian, who's like a freak. She's like 6'4". They can easily put her in the Awesome Kong role. It would be a nice change of pace for the Knockouts division. So, as much as I like Ivelisse Velez, I agree with them actually giving her a contract. I think they both should have. Especially with the state that the Knockout division is in now.
But doesn't that kind of kill the thing then and both from getting a contract?
Yeah, but...
Like, I'm not trying to be bad about it. Like, if it's a competition and you know only one of you are getting a contract, then you really have to up your game.
Yeah. I can see why they don't do it, but, like, they should at least wait a little while and just release on, like, the dirt sheets that, they've signed whoever was the runner-up to, like, a developmental contract with OVW.
But you know what would have made sense there? Like, I know everyone's saying this is real. Why not? You said there was one monster knockout and one average knockout.
I don't know.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, what you should have done was sign the average knockout and have the monster coming back every time she wrestles to take her out. There's an instant storyline for you straight away.
It would have, like, I remember with people were saying that, oh, they didn't think it was real because Jay Bradley, who was working house shows already as a member of Aces and Eights, he got the contract over Brian Cage. Even though Brian Cage was immensely over with the fans as a face. Like, as soon as he came out, the entire building just blew up.
I don't get what to do. Like, honestly, I know everyone said it's real. I just can't believe it's real.
There has to be... Nothing in wrestling is real anymore. There's no such thing as a shoot anymore. Like, CM Punk's shoot, that was a work. He got everything okayed. As much as Punk marks don't want to believe it. That was a work shoot.
And listen, Punk marks, listen to what the man said. Because even Punk himself has admitted that it was a fucking work shoot.
And people will still defend it to this day that they think it was real.
Yeah.
Because if it was real, he wouldn't have come out with an Austin shirt.
That was weird, actually. That's something that's never talked about. Why did he come out with the Austin top?
Because his shirts were in the laundry at Gerald.
Oh. So what happened after gut check?
Well, and they took another time to mention rest in peace to Paul Bearer during the actual gut check ceremony. And then it was the second of the best of 3 for the man advantage at Lockdown. It was Magnus and Samoa Joe. They actually referenced that they were former tag team champions. That they were good, and then they faced off against Doc and Garett Bischoff. And as much as people want to give Garett Bischoff shit, the guy's been improving a lot. You see, when he first started wrestling to now, it's like two completely different performers. I don't know whether it's that OVW training or working out and working with Devon and Angle, but he's really improved. I've actually got respect for him. For anybody who improved that much over that little bit of time? Anyway,
unfortunately, the thing with Garett Bischoff is that
the last name
will always hold him back. Garett Bischoff could turn out to be one of the best pro wrestlers of our generation. But he would never get the respect.
That, it was only because of Eric.
And if you want a case in point,
just an indie wrestler, that last name alone would draw money.
Yeah. But you want
an asset? It's both an asset and it's hurting him at the same time.
Yeah,
and
like
no, they actually won using their old finisher, which is just an inseguri going into an elbow drop from the top rope.
Like, you look at someone like Garett Bischoff. The only problem I really have with Garett is that he came in too strong. Like Garett, personally, I would have put a mask on him and not say who it was, and let him earn his stripes that way. Let him be judged on his ability in the ring. But no, they brought him straight into a storyline with Eric. They brought him straight into main event matches, and that put too much pressure on the guy completely. And if you want a case in point about how a name could hurt you, look at Triple H. Triple H, take away who he's married to, is one of the best in-ring performers of the last 20 years. And I know Brian is probably snapping when I say this, but I would stand over that. But because of what he married into and what his family is, he's never going to be looked at that. And sorry, Garett is never either.
Or look at what happened with Shane. Everybody in the back would say great things about Shane, but they knew he would never be pushed because of his last name, even though he should have.
Yeah, but Shane was a spot monkey. I love watching Shane wrestle, but I would admit straight up, Shane was a spot monkey.
But that's what the Attitude Era needed. Attitude Era was filled with spot monkeys. Yeah. The Hardys.
But like, one of the greatest things I always remember about Shane McMahon was a couple of years ago. When was it? 2009, when he came back and had a match with Randy Orton. And Shane didn't wrestle for 2 years before this match with Randy Orton and stayed up with Randy. I'm like, really? This guy who's in his late early 40s, hasn't wrestled in 2 years, can stay up with Randy Orton. That was the night I actually lost a lot of time for Orton, because I was a fan of Randy Orton. And I'm like, really, Randy? You're staying with this guy?
And then when you see things like The Rock, who just gassed after 5 minutes now.
Well, at least The Rock will keep going. Like, it's okay to gas. Like, over here we have soccer, and it's football here, but the soccer team, it's 90 minutes of just pure running. People could be blowing up after 10 minutes, but when that 90-minute fucking whistle goes, they're still fucking running. Same with The Rock. The Rock is blowing up after 5 minutes, but the match goes on for 25 minutes, and at the end of it, he's still fucking going.
Yeah, okay, so moving on. They had a video package of Kenny King, who fresh off of winning the X Division title, I don't know why he wasn't on TV. But he basically cuts a promo saying that nobody's going to take the title from him, and that he is the main event. Probably preparing him for things in the future. He actually, as much as I bash WWE about it, TNA does the same thing. I hate it when anybody just throws away matches on pay-per-view with no build-up at all. It pisses me off. If you're gonna make people pay for it, make people invested in it. Don't give things away like Joseph Park versus Joey Ryan. They both haven't been on TV for a while. I don't know why this isn't pay-per-view. Kenny King versus Zema Ion and Christian York. We haven't seen York or Ion in a long time. And if anything, throw King with RVD again. Just end the feud in a cage.
Yeah, but this is what I can't get. I'm looking at the card for Sunday night, Roy. Why is RVD not on lockdown? Arguably one of your top 3 shows?
I don't know. To tell the truth, I really don't.
I don't get it.
Like, right there would have been the perfect thing. End the feud. Like, Robbie T. That deserves a cage as much as people don't admit it. This is them finally separating the two Robbies. And Robbie T's going to get a monster babyface push after this. He might even get a short program with Morgan. It would make sense. Like, he would be a person who you can legitimately see this guy can beat Matt Morgan.
No, I think what you said there is the attitude most wrestling fans should have. Because you look at Rob Taylor, Robbie E. I'm not a big fan of either of them. But I would admit that if you put time and commitment into a storyline, then it should have a satisfactory payoff. A one-on-one match in a pay-per-view, that's not really a satisfying payoff.
Exactly.
You might as well have a one-on-one match on Impact.
Like, remember last year, they did the same thing with Gunner and Matt Morgan. That was just blown aside.
Whatever happened to Gunner?
He's in OVW getting the same treatment Robbie T did. They're giving him charisma.
Yeah, something I noticed here, and this really shows you how much I'm out of the loop. Where's AJ Styles on this card?
He's not booked due to storyline.
What? I'm sorry. I thought he was injured. You're telling me that a lockdown, arguably one of your biggest shows of the year, you don't have fucking AJ Styles on the fucking card?
He's showing up to the show in Chicago. Apparently they're doing the storyline that AJ has finally hit rock bottom and everything. His life is in shambles, blah, blah, blah.
What the fuck?
You didn't know this?
See, this is my problem with TNA. If WWE did a story like this, where you are, just take it. Imagine if CM Punk didn't show up to SummerSlam. That's what this is like.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, AJ was being used horrible, just in a repetitive feud with Christopher Daniels. I'm actually glad to see a change of pace when he's not on TV.
Well, put him on this, as you said, put him in with that X Division match.
Yeah, like, if he can't compete for the world title until Bound for Glory, put him in other title feuds.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
That's in my opinion, just keep him away from Christopher Daniels.
That right there is the reason why I am not a huge fan of TNA. It's because you have Rob Van Dam, your second highest paid active wrestler behind Jeff Hardy, and AJ Styles, your biggest fan favorite wrestler, and two of them are not on your lockdown card.
Either they're saving things for Chicago or they just completely dropped the ball on this.
Oh,
hey.
wait, hold on. And Mike Knox is on the card. Proceed.
Again, they had another video package building up to the Robbie T match at Lockdown, which I've just discussed should have been in a cage. Then you had the final match between Team Aces and Eights and Team TNA, Mr. Anderson versus James Storm. Before this, D'Lo Brown was teasing that somebody on Team TNA will turn on them, that Sting can't trust his team. Then you see Sting pick James Storm over Eric Young. That right there tells me that Eric Young's going to turn heel. I mean, I don't want it to happen. I want to be swerved. Like, I want another Devon incident to happen. But something just tells me Eric Young's going to turn heel. And we might actually get the serious Eric Young back.
Yeah, because Eric Young in this suit, what was it, Team World or Global World or something like that?
I think it's like World Prestige, I think it was.
Yeah, that was a good Eric Young.
I wasn't a big fan of World Prestige, but Eric Young did perform good in it.
I would always say Eric Young cut one of my favourite promos of all time when he stopped the stupid Eric Young, the first kind of stupid run he was on, when he actually cut a very serious promo saying that when they needed a good ball, when they needed this, I showed up. But yet title chances and opportunities went away from him. That is one of my favourite promos of all time because it can describe a lot of people in not just TNA, but the old WCW, the old WWF, the WWE today.
In any type of company, it speaks volumes. That promo's universal.
Yeah, of the spot monkey that's always brought it to make people laugh, put on stellar matches. And I'm sorry, Aaron Goins, Eric Young is a good wrestler.
Eric Young, I won't ever take that away from them. Eric Young is a good wrestler.
Yeah,
his comedy act, I don't like. I get there's a place of comedy in wrestling, just like Eric Young. What is him taking off his pants really selling tickets, TNA?
It's not. But he was having matches, he was having the funny segments, and he was putting people over, just like a lot of people do. Look at Santino in WWE. Like, as much as people want to make fun, this guy puts a lot of people over by absolutely laying down for the bad guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, he gets no reward. Same with Eric Young back in the day. He got no reward. People like Christian, Booker T, all they then came in and took the chances that should have been given to Eric Young.
Yeah, like I remember I find it completely degrading that Eric Young is one half of the Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Like, really? Like, I know the Knockouts division is like in shambles right now, but still, don't take away from that title by giving it to a man.
Yeah.
I
report.
expect Eric Young to be the one to turn.
I actually read a report.
One thing else turns me away from it is that the fact that Bully might turn. I don't think they're gonna have two turns in one pay-per-view, and like Eric Young turning would take away from the Bully turn.
What do you see main event in it?
Huh?
What do you see main event in Sunday?
It's gonna be the Hardy Bully match, no doubt in my mind.
Then can you really see a turn in the lockdown? Like, why would you have a turn halfway through a pay-per-view? Like, I know they did it for Bound for Glory, but we're getting to a stage now where Aces and Eights where it has to be a reveal near to the top dog. And like, as much as me and you just criticize Eric Young, I don't think Eric Young should be the president.
Eric Young shouldn't be the president. He should just be a member of Aces and Eights.
Could be better than the rumor I read a couple of weeks ago saying that ODB is going to end up being the president.
Who the fuck put that up?
It was on one of the forums saying it would be just such a swerve. I would not take away that it would be an unbelievable swerve.
Well, to be fair, I've heard things on forums saying that TNA put lockdown in San Antonio because Shawn Michaels is going to be the leader of Aces and Eights. I just look at them like he has a contract with WWE.
Not taking away if actually Shawn Michaels came out to be the leader of Ace and Ace.
If it did, I would mark out. I would not like. I would not stray away from that. I would admit that I legitimately marked out for that.
It would be a pretty awesome thing.
So, it would turn heads. You would just imagine how Triple H would react if Shawn Michaels shows up on TNA.
But what are they really doing with him in WWE?
He's doing nothing.
There you go. Like, this is my biggest problem. I think I said it with you the last show we did. You have people like him and Adam Copeland, two absolutely geniuses in the world of professional wrestling, sitting at home doing nothing. And yet you have Hollywood writers writing your shows. Like, WWE had this big fucking thing up now for their new VP, and I'm sorry for going into a WWE rant, but this is the first time I've been on the show since then. They have this big thing up about VP, about all these college degrees and all these degrees you need to be a VP.
And you just heard, like, their former head of creative was a former executive for Warner Brothers. That's completely unacceptable. What does an executive for Warner Brothers have? What does he even know about the wrestling business?
I don't know. I just really don't know why they don't turn around and say, okay, listen, write a few storylines, and this is how you can apply to be a writer for WWE.
Like, again, people would admit, like, wrestlers would admit, like the Dudley Boys, they'll admit they owe their career to Raven.
Yeah. And you look at it, the reason the Attitude Era was so successful was because it was actually wrestlers that were writing some of the storylines with Vince Russo.
Exactly. And one thing, what is Kevin Sullivan doing? One guy who is continuously being praised as a genius throughout the business.
Bill DeMont. Bill DeMont can bring any talent up whatsoever, and he can do some good stuff. And what is he doing? He's down in fucking Florida.
Well, see, the thing is, if you hear the stories about Bill DeMont and what he did over when running Deep South Wrestling for WWE, he fucked over a lot of guys' careers and everything.
I just don't get. I think that if you're looking for a new writer in WWE, the way you should apply should be, okay, write 3 storylines involving 3 different aspects, and that's how you should pick it. Not, do you have a bachelor's in this? Do you have a degree in that? The smartest guy is going to get that job, and he might not know 2 shits about wrestling.
Like, it should be like this. They should have them position, like, take a random mid-carder, like, say Alex Riley. Tell them, plan out how you would turn Alex Riley into a main eventer for us. Or a Tyson Kidd or a Michael McGillicuddy.
That's how you do it, WWE. Not, oh yeah, you have to have a college degree from here. Like, for fuck's sake, I am not well educated. I never went to college. But by fuck, I could write the wrestling storyline. Why? Because I'd be passionate about it. Most people that would apply for that job would come in Monday, sit down, not give 2 shits, and just be like, oh yeah, whatever, I don't give a shit.
Okay,
and that's the problem with professional wrestling, and it's not just WWE anymore. TNA have a lot of the same problems of bringing in people from Hollywood to write scripts.
Yeah. Like, TNA, of all people, they should have people writing the wrestling business. Like, you have people there who know the business. Bully, Devon, you have people right there under contract, and they don't have to work a hard work schedule. They can easily come in and contribute to creative. Like, but, like, one thing I want to say, though, as much as people want to say, oh, Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles, just so know, they wrote the Clear Lynch storyline.
Yeah, apparently I read somewhere that they did.
Yeah, that wasn't Bischoff.
As much as everyone wanted to blame it to be Bischoff, no, I do believe that they were just given the storyline and they worked the basics out. Like, they were told this and you have to come up with this kind of a storyline.
Yeah. But one thing I want to say, people complain about Hogan and Bischoff way too much. Look at what they've done for TNA. Like, look at the crowds they've been drawing. Over 5,000, 6,000 people now. They've outsold their show they did for Slammiversary. Lockdown has already outsold it.
Yeah, but you look at it this way too, Roy. The ratings are not up. 2 years ago they were 1.4. They're still 1.4.
Yeah, but look at it like this. They've gone live. They're taking Impact on the road. As much as I don't understand this infatuation with the 6-sided ring, it really didn't do much. It turned away casual fans from getting into the product. And it just helped the X Division. It didn't help tag matches or single matches at all. People wanted to shit on Hogan and Bischoff, but really they've done more to help the company than they've done to hurt it.
And I'm sorry, you're not going to sit here and tell me that was Hogan's decision.
What?
That was not Hogan's decision to get rid of the six-sided ring.
It was, but I agree with that decision. I did not like the six-sided ring.
Really? Hogan got to make a call like that?
Hogan should have. They should have at least waited for like more time Hogan to be there to make that big of a decision, or at least gradually get away with the six-sided. At least just have the four-sided ring at occasional, and then just have the six-sided ring at only pay-per-views, and just go away from it from there.
Or even making it a bit important, like when you were bringing Hogan and Bischoff in, they came in as kind of heels. You could have done a thing like that they wanted to get rid of it, but the originals didn't want to, and then you could have had a situation where they took it away. They didn't ask, they just took it away, which would have made them just bigger pricks.
Yeah, but if you would have done that, it would have had eventually lead to the return of the six-sided ring. Well, even though TNA's bringing it back for that one night only pay-per-view they're doing in Nashville.
You don't know. It's like saying that you need a payoff to every rivalry. Not really. You could have you just could have had it that Hogan fucking demanded that it never come back, or you could have had the stupid thing where they actually blew the fucking one up.
Yeah, and then TNA, it closed with a promo between Bully Ray and Jeff Hardy. I actually liked the promo between these two. Bully Ray actually cut a good face promo. But I don't get why Hogan had to show up at the end.
Because he's Hogan.
He just showed up randomly and said, oh, the best man's gonna win. Hogan didn't need to be on there. And I like how now people want to say, oh, Brooke's taking away TV time from good wrestlers. She's really not. She's just been in the background. It's not really being used.
Yeah, I'm sorry you cannot defend Brooke Hogan. I'm sorry. You can't.
Okay, now to run down the card for Lockdown, you have Joey Ryan versus Joseph Park. I expect Joseph Park to win. I expect Kenny King to retain in the Triple Threat X Division match. I expect Robbie T to win. And then continue his babyface push, which I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon approves of. I expect Velvet Sky to retain. I expect Wes Briscoe to go over Kurt Angle. He needs to. I expect Aries and Roode to retain. I expect Team Aces and Eights to win, but I expect Magnus to look strong to continue his push, which I called last year. And I expect Bully Ray to win the World Heavyweight Championship.
I like to give my predictions, but I haven't watched enough TNA. I will be watching Lockdown. There will be a review show, but very quick. If I had to pick just looking at it, to lead the Lockdown, I do agree with you. I see Aces and Eights win. I see a turn. Not too sure if it's going to be Eric Young, but I do see a turn. I'm looking forward to see Wes Briscoe because I've heard a lot about him, so I'm actually looking forward to see him.
Yeah, he was actually about to debut in WWE, but then he had a leg injury, and then he was released after because he was going to be out for a long time.
Yeah.
Because him and Xavier Woods were supposed to debut as a tag team.
So I'm actually looking forward to see that. I hope I'm not left down like I was with Austin Aries. As I said, I don't rate Austin Aries as a bad wrestler. I just think TNA fans really overhyped this guy.
Yeah.
Fellas like Gail Kim, couldn't care less. I do not like Gail Kim. I hate that she still has a job in any wrestling company. She is way too fucking smug in real life. I'm not talking her character, I'm talking her real life. Same reason I don't like that Samoa guy in the X Division match. I call him Mr. Asshole for what he said about some Samoa, is it? What's his fucking name? The guy that comes out with the hairspray.
Zema Ion?
Yeah, I call him Mr. Asshole.
Oh. Wait, I think I'm gonna change my prediction for Joseph Park and Joey Ryan just because what Matt Morgan said on Impact that he was gonna attack all of Hogan's boys, and Joseph Park has basically been one of Hogan's boys, so he's probably gonna give Joey Ryan the win.
Yeah, I really see Joseph Park becoming a member of Aces and Eights and at this nothing. Yeah.
I don't see it because it wouldn't be smart because Park is too over with the fans, and his character appeals to both casual and smart marks.
Yeah, I have to give Joseph Park credit. I have to give that character. When he first came out, everyone was like, dude, what the fuck is going on here? He actually got that over.
Yeah, this character is going to make more money than Abyss ever could.
Yeah, and that's what's so strange. Like, Abyss was just so hardcore. You couldn't do anything else with him but hardcore.
Yeah, and besides, it gave... Joseph Park actually gave a huge... More people know about OVW because of the Joseph Park character than they would just because of Gut Check.
Yeah. So that's...
Because he was brought in as just a lawyer, and now he's actual wrestler who could keep up with people and not actually have to just wrestle with every type of weapon imaginable.
The X Division match, I really see Kenny King retaining, even though I haven't watched much of this. I hear York is actually good. The last time I actually saw York, I was impressed. I have to say, though, Kenny King, I really see him being the next Austin Aries. I can see Kenny King actually having a good run in the Bone for Glory series.
Yeah, Kenny King has the it factor.
Yeah.
And besides, it's too early for him to lose the belt.
And I really hope I don't sound racist there, but the one thing that will hold him back is his colour. Oh yeah, Boo, leave the comments if you think I'm a prick. Just think about it. Name one big black superstar in TNA.
I would say the Pope. Pope could have been if he would have stayed healthy.
Yeah, but he was never given that kind of big push. Yeah, I know.
2010 he was. Pope was almost over than anybody. It's just that he couldn't stay healthy for the life of him.
I actually never get it in everything. Like, there's never been a sensational black wrestler, with the exception of The Rock.
Well, The Rock is only half black.
That's it. He's half-passed.
I'm still waiting for, but like, at least with Latin superstars, the last one that really made waves, like The Rock, was Eddie. And Eddie was late in his career.
You can see it rare.
Well, anyways, I'm really looking forward to Lockdown. I really am. I like the Go Home show and everything as much as I've been nitpicking about it, but it's just been nitpicking.
Do you want to give people information how they can order Lockdown? Because really over here I'm going to have to stream it, but how do you order in America for people that never ordered a TNA pay-per-view before?
Well, if you want to order it online, you can either go and order it on your TV. I think they have one of the channels that you can do it on demand and everything, or you can just do it on TNA's website. I've never done it on the website, but I'm about to see right now how you can do it.
And the change of the rule, like, is that people are expected to pay $60 to $75 for WrestleMania. How much do you get Lockdown for?
Almost $35. Like the main event, like the big four pay-per-views from TNA are worth around $34. Something like a UFC pay-per-view. And the one night onlys, like the pay-per-views they have in between, that's supposed to be their version of In Your House, are only worth around $15. It's feasible in the economy to actually buy a pay-per-view for TNA. They're not charging you almost $100 just for a pay-per-view like WWE would.
As I said, as far as I know, if you get WrestleMania in HD, it's going to cost you $74.95.
I heard it was going to be $100 this year.
$100. Like, I'm sorry, like, I will order WrestleMania because it's the same price over here for everyone, which is €20. But I would, like, I'll be honest with you, this is actually a good card. And you're not listening to a TNA mark here. This is a good card, and for $35, if you have a choice between this and WrestleMania, I pick this because there's bars and restaurants that you can go to watch WrestleMania. Here, like, you're sitting down at home, you're going to get a good 8 matches for $35. It's a bargain.
And besides, with WWE pay-per-views, there's no reason not to stream it. At least with TNA, yes, you can spend $15 to see like the pay-per-view that's going to be coming up, Extravaganza, which is just going to be just about the X Division. For $15 to see people from all over, like Jigsaw from Chikara, Scorpio Sky, like, and Jerry Lynn's final match on TNA against RVD, it's feasible.
But before we go now, just one quick question about Sunday's Lockdown. If you had to pick now, what do you think is going to be the match of the night?
I'm going to say the Hardy one, just because I know Hardy's going to do a big spot to end it.
And what do you think is going to stink the gap out?
Huh?
What do you think is going to be the worst match of the night? Stink the joint out?
Knockout match. As much as I'm sad to say it, because Velvet isn't really... She's overrated in terms of ring ability. And Gail Kim too, so... I gotta say that. Because Robbie can sell. Robbie E is talented. He can sell for just about anybody. And just to build up Robbie T should squash him in this match to really build him up as a monster.
So very quick, and we call it a day after this. Why should people order Lockdown, or what can they expect as different as World Wrestling Entertainment can provide? What can Tone non-stop action provide?
Well, see, you're actually gonna see an actual cage match. Like Bully Ray said, they took away the stipulation that you could win by escaping the cage. It has to be by pinfall. And the Lethal Lockdown match, if you're an old WCW fan, this is basically what's left of War Games. For the ROH mark, you still have Austin Aries, Samoa Joe on the card, Kenny King. Like, the card is stacked, appealing to multiple demographics.
Yeah, that's what I was actually saying there. I actually think this is a very stacked pay-per-view. I actually have to admit that right now. This is a very stacked pay-per-view. And for $35, as I said, if you're going to pay for WrestleMania in your own house, it's $75. You're better off just ordering this, and with that $40, go out to a restaurant or a bar and watch WrestleMania that way.
It makes sense. Like, TNA actually is giving people more than their money's worth.
Yeah. I almost said
in upwards of $40 for this.
And
it's good for this type of paper.
And Lockdown's always deliver, right?
Exactly, and besides, this is if you love hardcore matches, this is a pay-per-view based around cage matches.
So that has been our look back at last night's Impact and this Sunday's Lockdown. Now, before you go, what do you think of the news breaking that Angelina Love has turned down the invitation to appear at the Knockout Only night and the 10-year anniversary? Really for the way she was, really for the way she was dismissed. I'm not really surprised by this.
I know she was used horribly at the end of this career, but like she should still show up. She meant a lot to that division. She still has the most title reigns out of anybody.
Yeah, but when she had that visa problem, TNA didn't back her at all. I'm always surprised WWE didn't come calling for her, I'll be honest, but maybe because she would outschool fucking Kelly in wrestling and they were ashamed in case that happened.
Or maybe because of her tattoos.
Yeah. It's a sad day when you have to cover up tattoos and yet you're WWE champion for 400 days can be covered in tattoos.
Well, granted, at least with a guy, they'll accept it. But with a woman having tattoos, that's taboo for them.
Yeah. Like, I'll be honest with you, when I heard that WWE were out looking for new divas, I was actually happy and I was like, yeah, maybe they're going to go to some independent shows. When I actually read they were at a catwalk model exhibition, I was like, what the fuck?
Well, I think that was that when Ace was still running the
No, that was just 3 weeks ago.
What the fuck?
That's how they were looking for new divas, at a catwalk.
Didn't they say they wanted to get away from this? Well, never mind. I'm not even surprised anymore because I remember reading that Triple H said he's not a big proponent on diva matches.
Yeah, because he's a fucking man that wants fucking 30-minute headlocks.
Yeah, and he probably doesn't want a diva more over than him, like when China was more over than him.
Yeah, well, China was brought down to our very fucking fast.
Yeah, but remember, China was more over than most people in DX at one point.
Yeah, at one stage, the two most over people in DX were Shawn Michaels and China.
Yep.
And then when Rick Rude left, like, Triple H was in, like, what I always find fascinating is that people were going that Triple H was one of the founding for. If you never had Shawn Michaels, you never had a DX. Like,
yep.
Triple H took no risk with DX because Triple H was a start in his career. He could have went to WCW if he got released. Shawn Michaels was the top champ at the time. Michaels put it all on the line for DX.
And if you remember correctly, it was really Owen Hart that made Triple H the feud they had for the European Championship.
And the feud he had with The Rock as well.
Yeah, but that wasn't like. And besides, remember how much over New Age Outlaws were before they joined DX with Triple H?
Yeah.
If they were gonna make a new DX and try to get Triple H over, they needed the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah. And X-Pac was a big shock when he jumped back from WCW.
Yeah, and like everybody was associating him with the Wolfpack and everything. Nobody expected him to be back.
No. That's why I was so... Like, Triple H was never... Like, I would say
He needed
Triple H...
people around him to make him look good. Like, he needed Ric Flair later on in his career. The McMahon Helmsley faction, he drew a lot of heat from Stephanie.
Yeah. Stephanie... Like, there was a time, I know people are going to be scratching their head, there was a time Stephanie was the best heel in the business.
I like how we went from our last show praising Triple H, now we're just tearing him down.
Well, it was actually earlier this show.
Yeah, this one too.
Yeah, it's just... Like, I've always said he's backstage politics, but bad, like, but it should... Well, I would never forget what Triple H could do in the ring. Well, a lot of people do, Roy. A lot of people seem to forget that Triple H could still go, and it proves with Bruno Sammartino how much respect he has.
I still forget at times that Triple H can go. Like, off the top of my head, I can't name a 5-star Triple H match.
Oh, don't be like Bret Hart now.
Hey. I'll admit Bret Hart was overrated.
Did you see his interview a few weeks ago saying that, oh, WrestleMania 28 wasn't that good?
It wasn't that good.
Huh?
It wasn't that good.
Yeah, but he came out and said it was shit.
It had some redeemable qualities.
No, I'm going to admit this straight out here now. WrestleMania 28 Hell in a Cell wasn't a good match, but the emotion the three guys put into it made it a good match.
It draws back to what I said our last show. That fans need to be emotionally invested to make any type of match great.
Yeah, and that's what these three guys did. Like, you look at it this way. If that was just a normal Hell in a Cell match, it would have been like, oh yeah, whatever. But it was
they really didn't lose the cell.
Yeah. But it was the way Michaels acted. It was the way...
Michaels, you see, he's torn in that he didn't want to count 3. He didn't want the streak to end at one point.
Yeah. Like, that was the thing. I remember when we and Brian just started this show, I was screaming that Michaels shouldn't be in this match. I said it makes no sense. There's no reason for it. But the way he acted, he just gave such dynamic to that match.
No, this is what draws back to what I said about ring psychology. It was used great in that match.
Yeah. And that's what made... Like, I would say one thing about that match. Unless you watched it live, you do not know what the special feeling is about that match. And I don't mean at the arena. I mean watching it live on pay-per-view. You have to watch a match like that live.
Yeah. I was streaming it, and then I quit, like, almost through the Cena Rock match. I just read online that he won and everything. I celebrated. Because I did not want Cena to win, because in my mind, if he beat The Rock that day, there was nowhere else for him to go. He beat everybody. There was nothing else for him to do.
Well, apparently the word came out today that The Rock has signed a new extension with World Wrestling Entertainment, and he will be at Extreme Rules in St. Louis. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens with The Rock.
Well, Lesnar is booked for Extreme Rules too. Like, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so it is actually going to be, like, everyone thinks it's so set in stone that Cena's going to win this rematch. Maybe it's not.
Yeah. But it would seem pointless just to throw it away at... Yeah, no, wait. They could work it in their storyline that Cena might have beaten him at Extreme Rules, but it doesn't amount to a victory at WrestleMania. Then this is his third and final chance at The Rock.
Yeah. In Last Shot Redemption, but see, the worst thing about that damn WrestleMania talk, that you know Cena's going to win. At least no, there's a small bit of doubt that Cena's going to win. But like, if you go 2-0 to The Rock, then WrestleMania 30, Cena Rock 3, I can even see The Rock Cena fans turn around and say, you know what, that's too fucking much.
Yeah.
If it's 1-on-1, you can say something, but if
there's still the fans who believe that Austin and Punk is actually going to happen. I don't believe that's going to happen.
I don't want to see it happen, because I know for a fact, watching them in the last couple of shows and movies he did, Austin can't go as well as he can. And Austin's last match with The Rock at WrestleMania 19, in my mind, is a masterpiece.
Yeah, well, and if you read your stories, Austin was actually in the hospital all night the night before.
Yeah, he was dying. I tell you,
And he still pulled off that match. That match was great.
most
Way
people,
better than the match at WrestleMania 17.
yeah, most people, when I give my top 10 list, I know me and Brian did it earlier this year, of matches, I don't have this match on it. But I consider this to be a work of art. It's a masterpiece. It's not the best wrestling match you're ever going to see in your life, but it's a masterpiece the way they work, psychology, the way they grip you into the story. When you're watching that match, you know it's Austin's last match. You can't describe why you know it. You just know it.
It was just something in the atmosphere. It just told you. And that was a perfect ending. Brock finally got his win over him. It finally cemented that Austin's era was done. The Attitude Era was done.
And like that's what I love so much is Austin lost and he walked away. Ric Flair, like when Ric Flair lost at WrestleMania 24, he walked away.
And like I remember right before I remember watching 24, and just on my TV right before Shawn kicked him, you could just read Shawn's lips saying, "I'm sorry, I love you." That was just perfect for me. That's why when he actually wrestled the match in TNA, it pissed me off.
Oh, it pissed me off to the way. That's it. I actually stopped watching TNA for a while over that because it really did piss me off. I don't think I'm ever going to forgive Ric Flair. You can run down Vince McMahon in WWE all you fucking want, and I'm not the biggest defender of him, but the send-off they gave Ric Flair.
It was great. And this is Ric Flair, who really didn't have a lot to do with the company. He was more associated with the NWA and WCW. When everybody looked at him, they never thought WWE.
And they gave him the main event spot, and he actually turned it down. That in my mind
no, that match should have been main event. No, nothing could have followed it. Like at 25, that event was sold on Taker Michaels. I don't know why that didn't main event.
I still believe to this day there was two factors in that. Number one, nobody, for some strange reason, and this goes back to the point, should be wrestling guys booking shows. Nobody thought, oh, these two guys are in their 40s, they're going to steal the show. No, everyone just thought, oh, these two guys, let them have their match. And Triple H was probably like, 25th anniversary, I'm main eventing this.
I don't want to even talk about Triple H's match.
I actually have to say one thing about that match. It is the worst WrestleMania main event I've ever seen in my life, and I am comparing it to King Kong Bundy and Hulk Hogan.
The wrong person went over in that match,
yeah.
Especially the storyline. Especially just to give Randy Orton the goddamn belt at Backlash? What the fuck?
And Triple H to go on a fucking 2-month hiatus, and the only reason he came back was because Batista got injured again?
Randy Orton, as much as people want to shit on him, he's working house shows. He's working Raw, SmackDown, and Main Event. And he's putting a lot of people over. Barrett, he's working programs with Cesaro. Give the motherfucker some respect.
My problem with Orton is yet again the No Way Out just before WrestleMania 25 is that Shane McMahon was able to keep up with him.
See, my main problem, I just remember one thing that just wouldn't make me take Orton serious was his Iron Man match with Cena. Orton working circles around Cena, yet Cena wins?
Or when Orton's after playing with the fireworks.
Yeah, that really turned me off. I couldn't take Orton serious ever again after that.
Especially when the guy put the Benny Hill music on YouTube with him pressing the fireworks.
I haven't seen that video.
There's around 20 different annotations of him pressing buttons and there's funny music. The funniest one is Monster Mash.
See, now I'm inspired to take Gail's theme from Street Fighter 2 and put it with that.
That actually be awesome.
I'm inspired, Gerald.
Very quick before we go, because when we come back on Monday, we're just going to do a look back at Lockdown. Since we're talking a small bit about WWE, I'm going to address the elephant in the room I addressed with Brian, with you now. CM Punk, should he mention Paul Bear? Don't
No.
forget that Paul Bear was an entertainer, and if he probably had a choice, he probably would have been okay with it. But should WWE go down this route?
Too recent. Remember all the heat fans gave Randy over saying that Eddie was in hell?
That was 6 months after it.
And how long is this after Paul Bearer died?
It's not just that. Remember when Batista said it? Remember when Batista said Eddie's dead?
Yeah, at least he didn't say Eddie's in hell. And besides, Punk is a good enough guy on the mic to not do it, and he has Heyman with him. This would just draw back to like the feelings they got after the heart attack thing.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem, Roy. Is that CM Punk is going to get cheered by a minority of fans no matter what. If he comes out on Monday and completely rips Paul Bearer apart, is it then the kind of situation that everyone is going to boo him?
It depends. If he starts off by saying, "Damn, I want to do my Bearer impersonation now." If he does the "Oh yes" and the Undertaker, he will get heat.
That's it. He doesn't have to be nasty about it. If he just put a jibe in that the internet marks that fucking love Punk can understand, piss him off that way. Don't come out and say, ha 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 ha, Paul Bear's dead.
Like, come out, put Paul Heyman in the makeup, and come out as Paul Bearer with the urn. That will get those two so much heat.
Yeah? Yeah, that's it. You could have a kind of situation where CM Punk is talking in the ring, the lights go out, it comes on. Like, Paul Heyman is as fat as Paul Bear. He can come out with the makeup and the urn. It would just piss everyone off. And then just have Punk just talk away normal again. He doesn't even have to address what the fuck just happened.
Just have it stand in the background and just play off of that. Don't make it seem like a big deal like the heart attack. The heart attack was the main focus. Just put a little thing in the background.
That's it. You're just pissing off the fans saying that Punk needs to get turned against him. That is the internet fans. Because there's a situation now that they cannot get the internet fans against Punk. If they do something big and bold, everyone's going to be like, yeah, that was just written for Punk. But if they do something off the fly and smarty and quiet, then everyone's going to be like, yo, what the fuck was that on Raw? Fuck you, Punk.
Especially if it's somebody like Bearer associated with The Undertaker. The internet loves Taker.
Yeah. It is a very touchy thing, but like, as I said, this is wrestling. If Paul Bearer was told he was going to die, and he was asked, is it okay to do something like this, Paul Bearer probably would have said yes. So that's where strange though.
See, Bearer probably, the thing is, Taker probably would have won it. Because that would probably cause Taker to break kayfabe, and you know Taker has that rule, he won't do it.
Would that give this match a lot more credibility if you had CM Punk acting a dick to The Undertaker and Taker breaks kayfabe for the first time in his career? Imagine the implications that brings.
Oh my god. One thing I really want to see now, I want to see him do a tribute to Paul Bearer. Come out with the purple gloves, the tie, the gray boots. I really want to see that. I would pay a lot of money to see that alone.
You know the strange thing about it is that WWE has so much good makeup artists and everything, and they can do things so well that you could start Raw off like that. He gets into the ring, and it's Punk.
Yeah, like remember the Raw where Miz came out as The Rock?
Yeah. You know, that could just be, even that, you could just start Raw with Punk coming out dressed like that, takes off the thing, and puts down the urn, and just smiles, and then that's it. Start Raw, get Punk out the ring and start Raw, and there's your fucking joy. That would piss so many people off.
Especially if he comes out with the purple gloves and everything. A lot of people want to see that. Just to have that teased and taken away from them?
Yeah.
If they want at least play around with the camera angles, don't do like the Three Stooges when they teased the Hulk Hogan. First of all, that was just stupid, and everybody knew Hogan was in TNA. At least just don't show the person's face initially and just throw it off immediately that, oh, it's Punk, not Taker.
Yeah. One thing we can agree, though, is that Raw is going to be interesting because all the little kids can have the Rock scene of bullshit. But for us wrestling fans, and I'm sorry, I am going to stand over this. If you are a true wrestling fan, this Punk Taker match should be getting you excited.
It should.
It's old school versus new school. Like, Taker is the proper old school. Someone that never breaks kayfabe.
And besides, Taker encompasses multiple eras of wrestling. He was there in the Hogan era. He was there when Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were the top guys. He was there in the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah.
He encompasses mostly all known eras of pro wrestling that most fans, that most of the audience knows of. He's the typical guy to be the changing of the guard.
Yeah. That's why I think him and Taker really works well with people. Like Taker
works great with anybody who isn't Giant Gonzalez.
Oh, God. Or King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, that too.
Man, would people stop thinking this guy is funny on Twitter where all these after learning to do is copy and paste?
What?
King Kong Bundy for the last couple of weeks, everyone on the Facebook wrestling sites have been saying, this guy is a genius, look how funny it is and everything like that. I'm like, dude, I've seen that before. He just copied and pasted.
Really? I didn't know that. Well, granted, I've been off...
Apparently he wants a match with Miz.
I've been off Twitter for years. I don't even keep up with it anymore. I just occasionally go on and laugh at whatever cranky Vince is posting.
I actually quit. Like, I actually admit, I'm a CM Punk fan. I left Twitter over CM Punk match. Because you can't say
I can only imagine how it would have been there. Especially me. I would just seek out almost every argument. I would have probably been blocked by every professional wrestler on Twitter.
I was only blocked by one, and that was Charlie Haas. And then he want my idea. I called him a asshole, and then he had it on a fucking t-shirt 2 weeks later.
I've heard that, and have you seen the 10-second promos he's been doing for Ring of Honor?
No.
How did you mess up a 10-second promo?
Only Charlie Haas can.
I wanted to actually get back my Twitter and ask him, oh, where'd you come up with the idea for Haas holes? Just to see.
Oh. So he has me blocked. He has everyone nearly blocked on the site because it was asked once or twice and he just replied by blocking.
See, that's why most people don't know about me. My Twitter account has been kept under wraps for a minute because most of the people who follow me are beat writers for the Patriots and most NFL teams. Or ESPN personalities.
Well, I guess the one thing you can ask Charlie Haas is how does he feel that he drove his brother into the ground?
I might ask him that if I buy tickets to the ROH show in New York, in WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
Just catch him on camera saying that, he got it from the IWPC 316.
Thank you.
Tell your friends, everybody. Plug us.
Just.